June, we just closed 132,000 with the help of Chandler and just the systems and everything that he helped me implement.
What were some of the biggest things that you had done in your business to go from 16K a month to what was $130,000 in 1 month?
We deleted probably 300 to 400 leads in our CRM.
What was your main strategy?
All
right, guys, welcome to the call today. So today, Devin is going to be talking about, well, Devin, I'll let you fucking talk about it, bro. You're the one who did it. I didn't do shit.
What's going on, guys? I am Devin. I live in Charleston, South Carolina. Been with Chandler for, I think, about 6 months now, kind of on and off, but been in the inner circle for about 3 months now. And a little background on me, I was working for an investor for a while, kind of just learned a bunch from him. Took like 2 years to learn the wholesale flip business. And then as of this January, I decided to go it on my own and start my own wholesaling business. So been 6 months now. In June, we just closed 132,000 with the help of Chandler and just the systems and everything that he helped me implement. So Chandler, you just want me to kind of run through some
go through
stuff?
it. So, Devin, you guys over the last 3, 4, 5 months, something like that. Obviously, you went from working with someone else to going full time into your own business. What were some of the biggest things that you had done in your business to go from 16K a month to what was $132,000 in 1 month?
The first main thing that Chandler had me do is really just identify my buy box space. I had like a 2.5-year sample size where I just looked back at all of my best deals. I did a filter of like the deals that I made over 35K on. And there was a sample size of like, it was like 15 deals, and just filtered it down to like lead source. Well, even way deeper than that, but just year built, bed bath count, square footage, location, seller avatar, purchase price, all that stuff. Just took the averages from all that and really told me what the deals are that I make money on, and kind of allowed me to refine my buy box a good bit. Just so like when we see these leads, we know what to get excited for, right? And we know what not to get excited for. Or like in my CRM, there's a lot of just rural leads, and rural leads lead to rural sellers who are unrealistic and just a nightmare to deal with. I mean, we just realized we were spending so much time with the wrong types of leads that don't make us money. So essentially, after I identified that with Chandler, we went through and we deleted probably 300 to 400 leads in our CRM, and that were just totally out of our buy box. I didn't think that there was a way that they would monetize at all. So that helped us a lot, allowed my acquisitions team to focus on leads that we could actually make money off of. And that was kind of a quicker fix.
What were you doing as like marketing and everything else before that? What was your main strategy? How did that problem get created?
Yeah, so that was just cold call, just high equity absentee owner cold call, not really going zip code specific, going more county specific. So it was a pretty wide net. And then in my main markets are the Carolinas and Georgia. Obviously, there's rural parts of all 3 states. So you get all the absentee owners, you get all the super rural properties too, which just come up on the search. So obviously they were getting called and landing in our CRM.
Yeah, makes sense. Weren't you doing some PPL too?
So PPL, we started late January, and I started PPL. I signed up with 4 providers: Lead Zolo, Property Leads, Motivated Leads, and Fast Home Offer. And I did just county specific, just my major counties that were doing well. Like got 2 really quick deals, good deals too. They ended up both having title issues, and now they're closed, but it was a projected profit of about 80K. So I was like, damn, this stuff's awesome. Because little background, I was always outbound marketing, just cold call and SMS was how we ran it at the other company, no inbound at all. So inbound was new to me. I got shiny object syndrome, and I said, all right, I'm going to go nationwide and do nationwide PPO because Lead Zolo runs it where the cost per lead's lower than county specific. So this will be awesome, right? So I go ahead and do that. And then we got deals in Houston. We got a deal in Washington. We got a deal in New Mexico. We got deals all over the place. That did close. They were decent deals, nothing great. But what we came to realize was it was taking my acquisitions guys so long to count these properties and to be confident in their number to then make the offer. And we all know speed to lead is super important. So instead of spreading my guys too thin, trying to learn a new market each day just for one offer, we decided to reel it back in and just really identify the counties that make us the most money and just go deeper in those counties instead of just going wider throughout.
I like that. I think it's a super important point to Devin's point of like this situation. I think since a lot of people right now, a lot of things that are happening is like marketing is getting more tight in each independent market. So people are going wider. And I think that going into more markets is a good thing. The problem I've seen is there's no strategy when it comes to opening up a new market. It's just like, oh, like this worked here. Let's just try it here. That's fine. I think that gets action moving and gets data and gets information, but there's a simpler way to do it where it's what's an actual similar market to what I currently have that has good economics, that has properties that are similar that I can do my current strategy in, where I can just like move in slowly and do like one market at a time. I personally think that's a better way to do it. It's a little bit more control and you can actually focus on, is this working or not? That's what I've seen a lot of people doing and a lot of people struggling. So I think it's a super like
a good example of that was like when I first started, the guy that I was with, we're super good friends. Like I didn't want to add competition to him at all. So I was like, oh, like I'll go in different markets. I'm going to do Greenville, South Carolina, and Atlanta, Georgia. everybody does Atlanta. And I pulled over 150,000 records in Atlanta, and I just got my ass handed to me.
Atlanta's
100%. We got a few deals there, but nothing crazy. Our ROI was close to negative. And understanding the barrier to entry in that market and to take any form of market share there is just kind of crazy. So pulled out of the big market, right, and then went into more secondary markets like a Charleston, like a Savannah, like a Jacksonville, a Tallahassee, and then those markets have treated us a lot better.
Makes total sense. Yeah, I think finding your niche is definitely super important. Kevin asked, how are you mainly dispoing your deals?
So for me, I always want to do novations, right? I want to list everything. All my acquisitions guys, they make a wholesale offer, just wholesale pricing, and then if needed, they'll go ahead and make their MLS offer as well. If they accept my wholesale pricing, we're still going to send the attorney in fact and pitch it for the MLS just because we can make that much more. But obviously, right, in this day and age, there's always going to be properties that you have to assign and sell off market. So I do use Investor Lift. I've been on Investor Lift for 3 years now, as long as I've been in the business. So I'm a cartel member on there. So I have nationwide, all 5 million buyers, which is great. And then I also do a joint venture program too in my business where we have 3 different platforms for our JV department that we partner with you. 70-30, we send it out for you. You handle everything else. And then 60-40 would be we fully do the dispo and TC for you. And then if you're a guaranteed client, we would get better terms. So we have like 8 people right now that are fully relying on us for dispo, which has been awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Talk about that because there's other things that we could go down this like story too. But I think this is a super unique thing. I actually am curious of how you found the person who is running that, how you guys scaled it up to where you have this like active client base.
Yeah. Right now, my JV deals fully covers my entire overhead, which is awesome. It's super cool. And it was just an idea I had. The guy that I was working for, he had cartel mode, which is $50K a year. He was one of the first members. I was grandfathered in. I'm not the one paying $50K a year. Well, now I am, but I wasn't at the time. We have this amazing tool right here, and we're only using it in 3 different states, let alone we're using maybe 10% of it, and we're just not getting the ROI that we need on it. So I was like, there's such a big opportunity. So many people want Investor Lift. So many people can't afford Investor Lift. So how can we get other people's deals on Investor Lift? So I hired a VA first and just had them post in Facebook groups. We just made 3 different options, bronze, platinum, and gold. Send that in Facebook groups, had a deal submission link on my website, and people can just submit deals right there at any time. But then people will submit really shitty deals that'll just waste our time. It's all systemized now where if it's not below 0.73 loan to value, we're just not going to market it. And my VA will go ahead and kick that back. But the guy that I have running it, his name's Ryan Brown. He worked for a company called Bowen Capital, who was just a dispositions company. They're no longer in business. But throughout the hedge fund era, these guys were just raking up shop. They had all the hedge fund connections. They just knew every hedge fund's buy. So a lot of us couldn't get in with the hedge fund just because they're hard to get a hold of and hard to get a hold of the right people. So long story short, during the hedge fund phase, they were just absolutely kicking ass, only doing dispositions for wholesalers. And then fast forward to about 7 months ago when hedge funds really stopped buying, they just couldn't do it anymore. No, they couldn't get through with 5 JV deals a month. My average JV profit right now is $9,000. It was about 3,500. So you can't run a business off that. So they ended up shutting down, and then Ryan ended up reaching out to me, and I was like, I already have Investor Lift, so let's do it. And he paid for himself in his first month, which was great.
Okay, so walk through how the process works. Like, what's the offer you're making people, and why do they send you deals versus other people?
Yeah, so I can pull it up and show you guys. First off, Bronze is our bare minimum platform. We will market your deal to our vetted buyers in the local area using Investor Lift. You send me pictures. You're going to do all the marketing, right? But you're just leveraging our buyers list, our dispo services. At 70-30, that's 70% to the contract holder, 30% to us. We're going to go ahead, blast that deal out as inquiries, offers, anything comes in. We're going to send them right to you. Also, that post is going to be prompted to your phone number where they're just going to be directed to call you. Granted, sometimes they'll still call my guy Ryan and he'll just connect them with you. But Ryan will be sending you updated inquiries and all that stuff. We also have another platform called Investor Base where we can go ahead and just figure out who the investors are in that area and who's bought in around you. The same thing as God Mode, if you guys know what God Mode is, but essentially you type in an address and it pops up any flipper or landlord that's bought in a property, hard money or cash or anything like that. Basically a secondary residence. So we send you that as well. That's cold outreach. You have to call that list. And then Investor Lift is more inbound where stuff will just come in and we'll send it to you. You call them, you negotiate it, you set up the walkthrough, you write up the assignment, you do the TC. We send you a joint venture agreement before we send the deal out. And then we just need to be included on any TC communication as well to make sure the deal closes. So that's bronze. Silver, then platinum. So silver is 50-50 split. If you want us to do all your disposition services for you, you like up the contract, give me pictures and introduce me to the seller. The next thing we'll see at the closing table and you'll get your check. You'll be included in all the communication, but it's a white glove experience. We're going to handle everything for you. And then I've a dispo team, a dispo manager, then 2 dispo assistants. So we have plenty of people to run them. And then platinum would be once you become an actual client of ours on dispo. We have a metric of once we do 4 deals at 50-50 with you, we'll then cut that down to 60-40 because you'll be fully reliable on us for dispo. And then we'll go ahead and just handle the entire disposition process for you with all of our resources and whatnot. So we have 8 people people on that right now, which has been great.
Nice. That makes total sense. Yeah, I actually like that. I think anyone should implement free deals in their business. And if you don't, you definitely are leaving free money on the table. I think what you did is great. That's awesome.
It's just so cool. Like yesterday, I was driving out to one of my flips, and this guy who I did the JV with a while ago called me, "Hey, do you have any buyers in Lancaster, Pennsylvania?" "Yeah, I actually do. Let me call him real quick." This is actually a really cool story. He just needed someone to go in person. It was a seller that had to sign in person. He just needed someone to go bring him the contract that he could trust. And Scott is the guy's name in Lancaster. Scott ended up going, got the contract signed, and then Scott actually had a buyer right behind it for him. So that was a $30K fee that we'll all split 30, 30, 30. We're splitting it three ways, so 33, whatever. And that was just a matter of me making 2 phone calls, and I didn't have to do anything. I don't even know the address. I didn't even run comps.
That's funny as hell. That's sick. Good for you guys. Yep. Okay, cool. So let's go back to the main direct to seller stuff. So obviously you guys got your buy box dialed in, got the inflow of leads, like really like where every lead comes in, you're like, damn, I like this lead. What was kind of like the next thing you guys did?
Yeah, so the next thing that we did that really helped out was just understanding the pipeline too, especially for like inbound, outbound. Basically what we did, average days to a contract. So essentially when the lead enters my system to when it actually goes under contract. And then we did that per marketing source. This was like a huge sample size. It was about 2.5 years. Average days to contract overall between SMS, cold call, and PPL was 129 days. For SMS alone, it was 222 days. Then for cold call, it was 118 days. And then PPL was 27 days. So what this told me is that you have to be patient and you have to follow up with your leads. We get a ton of leads. I'll follow up with our drip campaigns, our lead managers, our follow-up specialists. We get a ton of deals from them, mainly for outbound sources, SMS, CC, SMS, and cold call, right? Because we just want to identify those leads and then follow up until they're ready, or until the tenant breaks the window, or until the tenant stops paying, something along those lines. For PPL, like that usually should be a lot quicker. Obviously, they're reaching out with the intent to sell within a certain period of time. They've already qualified themselves. You just got to hope that they're not asking for the world for their property. But that helped us a lot, just kind of like giving my acquisitions team an understanding on like, hey, you're not going to get a new cold call lead and close it right away. I've done maybe 5 one-call closes for cold call. It just doesn't work that way. You're taking the long game there, and you just kind of have to be patient, build rapport, because it could come back tenfold a year to 2 years from now.
So what changes did you make with that information? Was it being aware of what worked and being like, hey, these are kind of like the core tenets of like why we do deals? Or what was it that you found? And like,
yeah,
what about that?
We got very clear on our follow-up process per avatar. So we have our landlord follow-up, we have our inherited follow-up, we have our vacant follow-up, we have our land follow-up, all different characteristics of the property. We have a certain follow-up for that. So therefore, each drip campaign is written to cater that type of person, or just the type of situation that's there. And we'll throw in little jabs about like vacant properties, how they're deteriorating and they don't sell within this period of time at this rate. They're going to be looking at land value before the property is even salvageable. Little things like that, just making good points there. That really helped out in regards to follow-up, which was a big change in just how we were doing it, because I just had them all on the same drip, those past few years.
Yeah, interesting. So what do those drips look like from the high level? Don't they go into every single text? For a tired landlord, what are you doing for that versus, I mean, you kind of explained vacant, but like, what's like a tired landlord example?
And it depends off the information they give us, but obviously these are drips, so they're preset, right? And everyone's getting the same thing. But it's just, hey, Larry, hope you're doing well. It's Devin with Deventum Properties. Just wanted to check in with you, see if you still enjoy being a landlord. I just had to evict 3 tenants, but I'm looking for a new flip if you want to sell. Stuff like that. And we kind of relate, because we're landlords too. We can relate to being a fellow landlord. So we kind of relate that way, which really separates yourselves from other people. Where most drips are just, hey, it's Devin with Deventum. We spoke 2 months ago. Wanted to see if you were interested in selling today. No, I'm not. And another prompt like that would be like, hey, Devin, yeah, the tenant's actually 2 months late on rent. What kind of numbers are we talking nowadays? And kind of go from there. And then really just trying to bring out a pain point putting on the tenant or repairs. And this is even more like nurture, if you will. A lot of our drips actually trigger tasks too for our acquisitions guys. So one that I love is like, the seller's roof is 20 years old or 15 years old or something. And that lead comes back up on your task list, 6 to 7 months later. Hey, Chandler, it's Devin again. Just wanted to check in, see how things are going. Did you end up replacing that roof yet? You're reminding them that they have to pay 20K to replace this roof or whatever it be. Bringing up more pain and giving them reasons to sell and reminding them, hey, their tenant may be paying, but they still have a house that they're going to have to put a good bit of money into if they keep renting it out, or they're going to have to sell.
Yeah, I like that. At the end of the day, essentially what you're doing, this is kind of like how I see scale. Scale is just the way I define it, is doing what you did by yourself, but just having everyone else on your team do it just as well as you did it, but now you don't have to do it. That's kind of what you're doing, is create a drip sequence that allows you to have a much better conversation with people at scale that's more targeted. And then also really good follow-up training to actually push people. This is like in the notes, say something about the shit in the notes. It's obvious stuff. You guys all probably do it, or if you don't, you should do it. But training your team to do the same things, like that's honestly huge.
Yeah, I agree too. I think one of the biggest things that I learned from you was the importance of routine training. We used to never train ever. And once I started my own business, we trained 3 days a week. I have my guys, they were just on a call with Ryan Brennan, their own sales training consulting with someone else, not me, so that they can get a different opinion from someone else. Because if you just hear from one person the whole time, it's just not as effective as hearing from multiple people.
Oh, yeah, you just kind of start to block out that noise.
Yeah, it's like this guy's still talking.
What do you do for training? What's your general training process for your team?
Yeah, so Mondays is just pipeline review, and then any offers they have, we'll role play them real quick. So it's kind of like a hybrid between pipeline review and role play. And then Tuesdays, which was today, they meet with Ryan. And then Wednesday, we either do objections, because we've done so many objections. There's only so many, right? So we'll call it objections. If anyone has a new objection, we'll talk about it. But if not, we'll go ahead and do call recordings. We definitely do call recordings regardless. And I'll just pick a random call. We always did offer calls, which is good, right? Those are the most important calls. But Chandler, when we were going through that little bit of a drought 2 weeks ago, I was like, let me change it up and let's listen to discovery calls. Let's change it up and listen to these first initial calls. And I found a lot of discrepancies that I didn't like. And we did make a lot of adjustments for one of my AMs, which was great because at the 21st of June, we had 3 contracts, and then we ended the month with 10 contracts. So we got 7 contracts in about 10 days.
What was the biggest change on that? That's like a pretty drastic.
I do think a lot of it was timing. Granted, 4 of those contracts were just ones that we've been working forever, just waiting for siblings to answer, or attorneys to get back to them, or waiting for realtors, or just timeline, I think was a good bit of them. Yeah, the other were just hot PPL ones. I had all my employees in town this weekend for our retreat, and we get back from dinner on Saturday night, and one of my guys, Joey, was on the phone at 11:30 locking up a deal. It was a really good deal that we're going to take down and flip, and we'll do very well on that one.
Hell yeah, that's sick. So there's like a difference between coming in and doing maintenance work to a department, and then there's a difference between going and fixing when there's an issue. The maintenance work is honestly just making sure the process is done, making sure everything's done right always, and holding a high standard. But then sometimes shit slips. Maybe you get busy and you're going to stop training your lead managers or cold callers for a week, or if you stop being so aggressive because that wasn't like the issue, whatever it might be. The other thing on that is fixing it. So it's like when you come to like rework a department, I always have people ask me, wait, here's the problem. Like, I'm not getting contracts, I'm not getting appointments. Like, what do I do? The answer is, dude, you got to go listen to the call and then figure out what's going on. And Devin, whether that was the discovery calls were what changed everything for you, it might have changed on those PPL leads, but sometimes it's also just a timing thing, and you just got to manage the pipeline better.
Yeah, it was very clear that it was the disco calls, because when I am in specific, for the previous month, closed 50% of the offers he made, which was, me and Chandler were both like, what the hell? And then Chandler's like, your best month is always followed by your worst month, which was definitely true in that fact. But my point being is, I reviewed all his offer calls, reviewed his appointments and everything sounded the same the month before. So I was like, okay, it's just timing. It's just unlucky. He's got a bad bounce. And then I went back to discovery calls, and his tonality on a new cold call lead versus a new PPL lead was night and day difference. Absolute night and day difference. Cold call leads, he was not excited. He was like, hey, yeah, what's going on? Super low tone and not really working the lead, not really trying to get anything out of them. For PPL, he was ecstatic, ready to go, because it's inbound lead, right? That's an expensive lead, etc. So I basically explained to him, hey, no matter the lead source, you need to treat every single lead the same. Because if it was my choice, my guys wouldn't be able to know where the leads come from. But for tracking purposes, they need to. We all need to, right? But I think that was the biggest pivot. Treating every lead the same regardless of lead source, and just staying
What
super
CRM do you use? You can remove that field.
Ari Simply we use.
I don't know if you can do it there, but I know like on Salesforce and some other CRMs, based on permissions, you cannot have people be able to see certain fields. It's a good point.
I gotta look into that.
And you might be able to do it on Ari Simply. I don't know. But I think Ari Simply is on Go High Level, so I would assume they would be able to do something like that. Okay, again, just rewrapping this all up in a bow. Fix the buy box, got the right leads come in the system, focused on really like getting an understanding of like how the pipeline moves so we can create better follow-up cadences, double down on what's actually working. How do we convert more of those, basically getting better throughout the process? Was there any other key things that you did that you really felt were impactful and us kind of getting to the next level with the business?
Yeah, I mean, all that stuff, that's a lot. And it's a lot of simple critiques where there weren't really any crazy levers pulled besides the buy box. I think what really helped us out was actually talking about the accountability tracker and talking about that in meetings, because we never really did. I would just get an EOD report from everybody, red, green, yellow, whatever it be. And then if there was an alarming amount of yellow or red, I would obviously have a conversation with them. But we fixed our accountability tracker to auto-populate the color based off the numbers. So like them seeing that and then them reporting that, then us talking about it resulted in a lot less yellow days and a lot more green days. I also went ahead and threw an incentive in there. So if a guy gets 5 green days in a week, I'll go ahead and buy him dinner on Friday. So makes it a little bit fun. That should do well. And then as of today, Chandler, we just implemented what happens if you aren't performing, how you can lose leads or lose new leads and stuff like that. So super excited to see how that goes.
Yeah, I like it. Let's say someone is not performing. Having a stoplight report or like a daily scorecard, seeing your team's numbers, everyone here should be doing that stuff. If you're not, start doing it tomorrow or today, actually. Fuck tomorrow, do it today. But if someone's producing red numbers or not meeting their expectations, how do you have that conversation with them? Like, what does that conversation look like?
Yeah, I mean, the way I do it is right from traction. But at first, it's super vague. Just, hey, man, what's going on? Just want to make sure you're doing all right. It's seeing if anything's going on in like their personal life or something. And most of the time, they're going to say, hopefully they are comfortable to open up with you if that is the case. But in this instance, instance, it was just, no, man, I don't know. I'm hitting my numbers. I'm calling. I'm trying. I'm still bought in. There's no issues here. Say, all right, well, if you need anything, obviously be there. Give him support, hype him up a little bit. And then the next week, he had 3 super hot leads that were all set to sell. We had Zoom calls with each of them, and then all 3 of them went with other buyers. I wasn't on the calls, but he was. Then 2 days later, we see the property's on investor list for 50K above what our Mayo was. So we're like, all right, these people will come back to us. And then that was just a bad bounce too, and just explaining to him that, like, hey man, some of these aren't going to be your fault. Some of them are just bad bounces because we got a bunch of knuckleheads in this industry because the barrier to entry is so low that a lot of guys are going to offer you prices that they can't even act on because they may think it is the right price. But regardless, we can't control the competition. We can just try to beat them. And then we did the PIP, we did the performance plan too. I mean, it was what was working, what's not working. And I wouldn't say I really found much from that, but I think it kind of gave him more like, oh shit, I got to figure this out now. And then just snap of a finger, he just gets 3 contracts to end the month. So that's kind of how it ended. But I mean, he's also a good friend of mine. It's not like I was super accountable. I was, but I didn't give him an ultimatum where I was actually kind of close to, and I'm glad I didn't.
Wait, so say that last part again. So you didn't give him an ultimatum and you were kind of close to, but you glad you didn't? Okay, explain that a little bit more.
Because I just think the second you give someone an ultimatum, it's kind of like a no shit moment. And it's like, this shit's real, where some people will crack under pressure and other people will thrive under pressure, where I could have lost a really good employee if I were to give him an ultimatum. You don't know how people are going to take that, or he could have just cracked under pressure and had another bad week. And then I'm looking for a new AM to replace an AM that's been closing for 6 months.
Yeah, I agree. You kind of have to explore the other options. We have to figure this out or see what other options there are out there. That's at least how I frame it. How'd you frame it? I'm curious.
Yeah, I don't know how I'd frame it.
We just had this conversation. How'd you frame it?
In which part of it?
For the PIP. What's the outcome? Did you like give him an outcome or was it just like a PIP?
No, this was about a week or 2 ago. So, I mean, he just ended the month with 3 contracts. So I haven't brought it back up again, but he and I do a one-on-one every Wednesday. So that'll be tomorrow. I guess we'll talk about it.
You basically said like, hey, we need to get to here and we just got to figure it out kind of thing.
Yeah. And it was also like, there were lags where, like, honestly, his accountability tracker did not make sense because the days he made the most calls, he had the least amount of talk time. Then the days he made least calls, he had the highest amount of talk time and much higher connection rates too. That was one thing too, where I always harp on, like, hey, I would rather you have a much higher talk time than more calls made. That's what's most important to me.
Yeah, I agree. Cool. We got a couple questions here. Let's go through this. So Kevin asked, how big is your team currently and how'd you find your employees?
I have 2 full-time closers, lead manager, 5 cold callers. The cold callers are for the management company. And then I have a director of operations, dispo guy, dispo manager, then 2 dispo assistants. Cool. So I think that's 9, not counting the cold callers.
Yeah. And then how did you find each of those people? What's the general way you found a lot of them?
Yeah, so the director of operations, he was just promoted. He was my main closer. He was a buddy from college. We played lacrosse together. And then he was doing venture capitalist. He actually saw the podcast that Chandler and I filmed a while ago. And he was like, damn, Dev's doing well. Let's reach out to him. So basically just told him all my vision, explained what I was doing. And he said, dude, I'm all in. He quit his job and then started. And then the other guy, Connor, he was working for another wholesaler out of Dallas. And it was just a terrible operator, just wasn't giving him the tools and resources he needed to succeed. And he was a friend of one of my good friends from college. And we met when I just visited them out in Texas, went out to the ranch. And we met a few times. We ran into each other at a Clemson football game last fall. It was a Saturday. I was like, dude, you still haven't gotten a contract? It's been 6 months. What the hell? You got to stop working for that guy. Come work for me. I'm doing my own thing now. And then he started on that Monday. It was so funny. He's still with me. And then my other closer, Joey, we met at a mastermind. He was working for another company, more on the dispo side of things. He and I just stayed in contact. He's always wanted to start his own wholesale business. So I told him that I'd always be happy to let him learn under me and then set him up to go do his own thing. I mean, in acquisitions, it's so hard to retain good talent. If you're just super transparent off the bat, hey man, if you want to start your own wholesale company, that's great. Sign this 1-year contract with me. Once you get 25 deals under contract and sold, then I'll let you dispo your own deal and do the TC on your own deal so you can learn from that. And then, hey, once you know how to do that, you're not just going to jump and go start your own pipeline. You're going to hire 1 to 2 cold callers or maybe get a marketing source then to build your pipeline. And then once you close a deal or 2 on your own, then you make the jump and you backfill your position. I think that's the best way to hire acquisitions guys, just because you're going to get top talent. They're going to be genuine. And then as long as you're transparent, it's going to work out and you're going to have killers on your team.
Yeah, I like that. So basically you're saying, hey, look, dude, come close deals for me and I'll let you basically do the entire business on my dime. And then you can go just start doing it on your own if you want.
Yeah, I just want a year commitment on paper. And then you have a whole pipeline and roadmap of what that would look like. Honestly, I feel like a lot of the time, at least Jack, for example, he's the furthest one along. Like he was wanting to start his own wholesale business. And now he knows everything that goes into it. And he's like, I don't think I want to do that anymore. But I like the industry and I like this business. And I'd love to be a director of operations. So here we are.
Yeah, I think that's what we've seen too. We probably had 8 to 10 people we've hired like that. And most of them were like, yeah, 6 months to a year. We always ask for a year. And they're like, I'm going to go start my own wholesale business in a year. Usually what happens is at least 2 years or more from what we've seen. And the only reasons for that is because I don't think we did a good enough job at actually providing a growth roadmap for these guys because we wanted to like keep the business a little bit more siloed. Whereas you're letting these guys dispo their own deals, but we didn't do that. And I think like that's actually like mistake we made. Whereas if we would have done that and given these people the ability to make more money and like learn more, that's all they want to do. They just want to learn and have bigger positions. I think that we would have been able to keep those people, but we didn't. So learn from my mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, I think this depends on who you hire. That's why I like to hire friends or pre-existing relationships, someone that I respects them as well. That's going to tell me that I'm in a good boat. So, I mean, yeah, Upwork and LinkedIn and all that stuff works too, but hiring a stranger, you're always hiring a stranger. You don't know at least one other person that knows that person, maybe don't hire them.
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely a little bit harder for sure. Joel asked questions like, is it good or bad having a good friend work for you? Pros and cons for sure. What's your opinion on that?
Neither, and it's funny too because the company that I was working for, two of like my best friends, roommates in college, are still working for him, and I wasn't taking them with me. That was a non-negotiable, obviously. So in that case, it was interesting, but at the end of the day, like business is business, and luckily, like they never misperformed or never slacked off. Yeah, I have other friends that I would never hire in a million years, and then there's friends that I want to hire really badly. So hiring the right friends is the best answer to that. It sounds pretty cliche, but hiring the right friends, and I mean, they're your friends, so you know who is driven and who does what and what they're like and what they do in their free time versus, you know, a guy you get off LinkedIn and you don't know what he does in his free time. He could tell you he works out every day and doesn't drink or doesn't do all this stuff, but you got to take that and go with it.
Dude, for sure. One of the things I'd say too is like, I've hired my little brother before. He still works for me. I just set the expectation at the beginning. I was like, hey, bro, here's what it looks like to be successful. If you want to do this, like, here's what you're expected to do. And if you aren't able to meet expectations, you have to both be comfortable that the outcome is you don't work here anymore. And we still are brothers, so we still have to be close. And if that's something you can do, I know I can do it, but can you do it? And it's not been an issue. So I think walking through that worst case scenario with that person too. Our first acquisition guy was one of our best friends from college too. And he was amazing. He's a really extremely disciplined person. He was first in his class in Navy boot camp, A school, and a couple other things. But after 2.5 years or whatever, he just like didn't want to do it anymore. No hard feelings, still great friends, just no longer is part of the company. And that's just the way of the road. And as long as everyone is mature and has clear understandings that we all want what's best for each other, then like it's fine. I think at the beginning, better to hire people like that.
Yeah. Especially like when you have such a well-structured business and just systemized business where like, hey, we have people that hit these metrics on a daily basis and this is the result they got. This is what you have to do. If you don't do this, I don't care who you are, I will go find someone that can do it. No emotion at the end of the day. I mean, yeah, they might get butthurt, but they knew what they had to do. You're very clear on that, and it is what it is.
It's facts. Okay, Joel asked another question. Obviously, if you don't feel comfortable answering it, completely cool. But the second part, I think you definitely still have, definitely should answer. He said, what's the margins and then what's the next steps for the growth plan? What's the next big lever you need to pull to get there?
Yeah, so this is a great point, and we just did it. So let me go on my computer. I'll share my screen.
Dude, if there's one thing that I've learned about Devin is this dude's a fucking planner. Dude has like 700 Excel sheets. He gets Excel rich every night for fun.
It's bad, dude. It's bad. I get lost in the sheets. This one took me a while to figure this out. Me and Jack did it.
That's another thing too I've noticed. I'm just like from observing everyone who's come through Level Up and had extreme success, myself and other friends who are all like crushing it. Every single one of the people that I know that do this at a high level understand the things about their business to a very deep degree and plan out how they're going to get to their goals. And then they just execute it. So what Devin's probably going to show is going to be super sick, and I'm excited to see it. Also, real quick, Kevin asked, are your closers commission only or base plus commission? I think they're all commission only, right?
No, unfortunately, no. I give them the option. It's either 8.5% commission with the 2K stipend, or 12.5% commission based only. But then they're on a tiered structure too. So 0 to 90K is their set base, and then 90K to I think 130 is % higher on a quarterly basis. So that just keeps going up and up and up. So the more revenue they produce, the more they make.
Cool. And Coral will answer that question after Devin shows us. Cool, Devin, you got your screen up.
So basically what we did was, my goal this year for the first year in business is to do 1.25 million in revenue. Right now, with what we've done this year, Q3 rev goal is what we need to close this quarter to get on track to hit that annual goal, right? So what we determined is there's really 3 main levers that we can pull to do that, whether it be increasing our average deal size, increasing our conversions, just performing at a better rate, or going ahead and increasing our average deal size. So what we did here was this first lever, these conversions are based off of Q2 performance. So this is at an average deal size of 15,000. What this is telling me here is that if we were to perform the exact same way we did in Q2 and still have an average deal size of 15,000, we would need 671 more leads in a quarter, 447 more leads, etc. just down the line. That's how much we would need on a quarterly basis to hit that goal.
Compared to what you're getting right now?
Compared to what we're getting right now. Yeah. This is basically if we just did Q2 performance at our current deal size without any marketing spend. And then these are the conversion goals that we would need to hit to yield that profit, to yield this conversion as well. Then here is if conversions increases to our goals. So if we were to increase our conversions from where we are to where we need to be to yield this profit, we would actually need negative leads. We wouldn't need any more leads if we were to increase our conversion goals where we want them. So this is really telling because everyone thinks you need more leads. Okay, spend more money. Okay, now you need a new AM. Okay, that's not not the answer. You don't always have to spend more money. You can increase your deal size, or you can go ahead and just be a better performer, increase your conversions. So this is still the same, right? Where it comes sold deals needed is still 12 as it was up here, but you'll see the number of leads needed is actually negative. We would need no more new leads to go ahead and hit this goal of 395,000 this quarter. And then this is where we are, right? So these conversions for net leads, we would have to do about 8% better. For appointments needed, we'd have to do 4% better. And then offers needed. This is our biggest bottleneck right now. Offers needed, appointments actually being completed. We can set appointments, right? But it's actually getting the appointment completed is the issue we're having. So that's our biggest bottleneck on conversion. So we'd have to get that up about 23%. And then contracts needed, we're on target there. And then sold deals, we need to get our contract to close ratio up to about 70% to do that.
Nice. What's this one down here?
This was if we were to perform the exact same as we're currently converting, but we increase our average deal size to 25,000 per deal. Our average deal size right now is like 15,500 to be accurate. I know that's low. And we are doing novations too, which is interesting. But this was if we were to just increase our average profit per deal. We would only need to close 2 more deals with the way we're currently performing instead of up here, which was 12 and 12. So the biggest lever here that's going to move the needle forward the most is by increasing our deal size.
Yeah, by far. Yeah, because at the end of the day, volume is what's harder. There's some things on that too. Usually with that, a lot of times like having a newer acquisitions team. Okay, before we go into this, what are you going to do? I think you have the review findings down here.
Review findings and what we are going to do. I guess I didn't include it in here. This just goes through everything that I just explained. If we increase deal size, it cuts down the number of deals we need, but makes each contract more productive. By increasing conversion, it cuts down the number of contracts and deals we need, but makes each contract much more productive. Then E, increase marketing spend. We provide more opportunity to get more productive contracts, obviously. But improving our funnel conversions and increasing deal size while also providing more opportunities to close with more marketing dollars being put to work sets up nicely for a big Q3. And then we just go over what's working, what's not working, etc.
The big key things here is how do we make a combination of all the things? So maybe it's like we get not a perfect implementation of deal size increase, not a perfect implementation of conversion increase, and then we'll also increase marketing spend a little bit just because we already have the capacity to do that. And then all 3 should allow us to goal.
But yeah, kind of going through all this stuff. All this was based off ROIs and stuff. Comparing Q1 to Q2, our revenue increase was 411%. Contract to close increase was 229%, which is just crazy. We like quadruple check these numbers too. We're like, wait, really? This doesn't include JV deals either. This is just Eventum revenue, which is good too. And then why we were so successful in Q2, just because the business started in Q1 and now we're actually up in our new CRM and operating at 100% too. So we have the right people in the right seat. Our wheels are turning. So I don't think that we can't hit this goal in Q3.
Oh yeah, I like it. One thing I was going to say on this, as far as like the deal size stuff goes, I think I've had this conversation with almost every single person I've talked to in the last 3 to 6 months. The biggest things that there is for your deal size, there's like 3 ways to increase it. It's like you can buy deals for less, you can sell deals for more, you can go after better data. It's just simply higher priced homes. And so a combination of all those things, having an offer giving process to where there's always a certain set of how deep the first offer is given, and then simply how do you step up and negotiate from each MAO, and then increasing your desired profit. These are more simple things, but like buying deals for less, honestly. We had our deal size slip at one point to like 18K. Normally it was like 35. We were like, dude, what the hell? All we did was we realized that our team was not offering that deep on the first offer. So as soon as we noticed that, we were just like, dude, let's just offer 40K less than our cash offer for our first offer and then figure it out from there. And then our deal size for the next quarter was 35K again. All it was one change. Usually people are like, oh, buying deals for less is like so hard. You can't do that. It's like, if you just offer less, you train harder, then you're going to get a deeper deal. That's literally the bottom line. And then you can also sell deals for more. So make sure you're maximizing your dispo exit strategies. Are you selling every deal at the highest and best use? Look at every single deal. And the other bit is just optimizing your lead flow to make sure you're going into higher median price point markets. You can do all those things at once. That's going to be how you can maximize your deal size to be somewhere around 10% of median home price. That's where it should be.
Yeah. And that's what we've done. Definitely. Just, I agree 1000%. 1000%.
Yeah. It's a sick deck. Joel said he likes the deck and the data. Nice deck. You guys seen that commercial, the Australian talking commercial?
Is it just where they use the simple words in a perverted way? And
Yeah,
it's just,
exactly.
Yeah, those are geek.
All right, Coral asked, how do you find your wholesaler leads for your dispo operation?
Facebook groups, dude. My VA goes in and posts twice a month. There's a little Excel sheet where she checks off when she posts and when not. I could show you. It's pretty funny. This is it. She just goes through per group and she's got to update that. She just goes through per group and clicks off the ones that she goes ahead and posts in. Obviously not South Carolina anymore.
Cool. Sick. This is super good. good. Anyone else have any questions for Devin? What's up, bro?
What's up, man? How are you doing?
Good, man. What's up, dude? What you got?
Great presentation, guys. I had to join late. I had a seller call, but I'm looking forward to the replay. And it was great, at least what you guys shared so far in the last 15 minutes that I've been here. That JV sheet that you just did. So are you using proxies on Facebook? And have you ran into any problem with your VA going through the Facebook groups? Because 2 years ago, a year ago, I had a similar model. We were really pushing that. We were noticing a lot of problems in that regard with the Facebook marketing through the groups. So have you had a problem with that, or is it
No, so she just logs onto my Facebook. What was it? It was like January, February. I just had her just go in the Facebook groups and just post like this. Let me see if I can see this. She logs into my Facebook and posts on my Facebook. Before I verified myself on Meta, but before I was verified, I got nothing. And then once I was verified, shit just took off. People see that blue check mark, they know I'm going to sell their deal. So, I mean, that was probably the best return I've ever gotten on any investment was that damn blue check mark.
Got it.
Yeah, this is the post that she makes. Probably got to update it, but that's it right there. I could put it in the chat for you guys if you want to copy it.
Got it. And you're just doing
posting them on Investor Lift.
Oh, okay. So you're using Investor Lift as the dispo platform for the JV.
Yeah, I mean, you really can't do this if you don't have cartel mode on Investor Lift, unless you just have a wicked buyers list.
Yeah, okay. We had a similar model, but it was more so kind of reverse wholesaling based around finding deals for specific institutions that we're buying. But this is obviously on a different scale. I feel like it really leverages people that don't have Investor Lift. Obviously, anybody that does have Investor Lift isn't going to need you. But that's cool, man. Thank you for sharing.
Of course. And this was, I could show you guys the best deals breakdown. This was the best deals breakdown that Chandler had me do, which showed us average purchase price, dead bat, square footage year built, and then average profit per source and everything. So this was super telling, just understanding what you're working towards and where it should be at.
What was the avatar you got the most deals from?
Either inherited or just tired landlord.
Nice. Yeah, sweet. Do you have that here? Which exit strategy brought the biggest profits?
I mean, there's 98K from Investor Lift 30s.
I would recommend anyone to do this. I have so many people do this exercise and it always gives so much details. One thing I would do too, and I do this, is every single month I look at my deals that I did for last month and understand what's working and maybe new things that are working right now. For example, if I was to look at each deal, something I could see is like a growing channel that maybe just really outperformed this month, or maybe a certain list that like for whatever reason did really well, or maybe a location that's really popping off over this month. There's all kinds of different things you can learn and take away. And basically what you can do is you can leverage your resources to go more into that market. And the best example of that I would give was when we started a new market in Plano, Texas. This was probably the best return on this exercise we've ever had. We were like opened up Texas, like new market. We got our first deal there. We realized we got our first deal in Texas and we were like, oh shoot, it's in this city called Plano, Texas. We did a little bit more research on it. Oh, that looks like a really good city. And so all we did, because we knew that was like a place where we got a deal, is we stopped doing everything else in that state and only marketed to that one place for 3 months. And then we got 6 more deals there that were all average like $70,000. So one small tweak just allows you to really double down on a certain thing that might be working. So it's kind of lucky, but it's also like, oh shit, because we look at this, we see the opportunity and we're opportunistic. So cool.
Yeah. Another cool thing that we do is we track everyone's offers in an Excel sheet. And this is how you can track it all at scale too, just so you know how your data is. It's tedious as hell. When you go to make decisions, there's no emotion involved. It's just, hey, this is what this is telling me, so I need to just do this.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, because like different areas, different lead channels all convert at different rates. What I realized, like in Fulton County, for example, which Devin, you probably started there in Fulton County, Georgia, and realized that's where the city of Atlanta is. Yeah. Impossible to do anything there because it's all things impossible unless you live there and know it like the back of your hand. That's been my experience. It's like we never closed anything there unless it was in Alpharetta. It was like the only city we could do it in. And another thing was when we were doing creative finance offers and cash, at one point I ran the numbers. I think our acceptance rate for a creative finance offer was like 1 in 270 or something crazy like that. So we're like, dude, why the fuck are we even wasting our time? Or we could figure out how to get better at it and hire someone to do it specifically. So just like looking at that stuff and getting more efficient is like all the super keys to growing. Devin, this was a great dude.
Of course, yeah. If y'all need anything, I put my number and email in the chat. So appreciate y'all.
Yes, sir. We'll see you guys later.
All right, y'all have a good one.
Hey guys, so really quick, I want to share some results from our recent client survey that we did, where we found that we added an additional $196,693 per year to our clients' businesses. And this isn't by telling them to go and spend tons of more money and bloat their business just to get their revenue numbers up. No, this is going through a simple 7-step process that we call the guide to growth that helps them go and make more money in their business without having to spend another dollar. All we're about. And so I'm going to share with you a little bit about what this guide to growth actually is here on my screen. All right, guys, so taking a look at the guide to growth, it's honestly super simple because all we have to do is troubleshoot in your business to find out where the actual problem is. And since we've broken it down into 7 sectors, into a wholesale business, into a manufacturing line, lead to net to appointment, appointment to offer, offer to contract, contract to sold deal, and average deal size, all we have to do is understand compared to industry standard, compared to our clients' results, where do you stack up? And then for something as simple as deal sizes, if you're not 10% of median home price, then you should be able to get it to 10% of median home price. So if it's $350,000 like in Atlanta, your average deal size should be $35,000 plus or minus a little bit. And so if you're not, we're going to identify that. We're going to come down to the guided growth and understand where the KPI targets should be, what are the core variables, and what are some possible solutions. And we would do something like this, where we'd hand you an SOP and hold your hand and implement it with you step by step on how to buy deals for less, how to sell deals for more, and how to flip higher price point homes so that you can increase your average deal size and release your bottleneck. All we're going to be focused on is growing your company without spending another dollar. And so if this is something that you're interested in remotely at all, where we'd come into your business and show you exactly how we'd implement the guided growth for you, then all you need to do is go down below this video, click the link to book a call with our team, where we'll walk you through step by step on our roadmap of how we grow your company utilizing our process. So if that's interesting at all, go down below this video and click the link, book a call with our team. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next one.